Good evening. Welcome. We're back with another episode of Corner to Copa. I'm here with my co-host, Coach. How you feeling, man?
Long weekend of baseball outside, but yeah, we're getting in the early dog days of summer now.
Absolutely. And the Tigers were able to get a comeback victory today against the Boston Red Sox, officially splitting the series because we won the first game. They won the two in the middle, and then we won the last one on uh, earlier today, and that was the second series that we split. We had a short 2 game series, which we ended up having to do a double header, I believe, with Pittsburgh, and we won the first game and lost the second game. But just hovering around 500, staying in there. If there's one thing that we can say is they're gonna make things interesting. That's what they've done so far, and it's another eventful week. Got some roster things that we're gonna get into eventually. Um, but yeah, as far as this game is concerned, Mize struggled early on, and the bullpen was able to hold things together. The bullpen has struggled, pretty good as of recently, but they were able to hold things together today. We got some timely hitting. Baez once again, runners in scoring position, and uh, in extra innings, he came through in the clutch for us. Wenzel Perez had some big hits today. Had a nice slide on a play that had to be reviewed at home plate, and Gio Urshela, yeah, got it done on the defensive end as well as on the offensive side of things. But complete team effort and an exciting ball game. We were down 3-0. We were able to get back in the ball game. I believe, I can't remember who gave up the home run to tie to tie the game at 4-4, but we blew the doors wide open in extra innings and were able to hold on. But yeah, what was your evaluation of the just the week as a whole? Or I don't know if you caught the game today.
No, definitely didn't catch a game today. I had my own tournament locally, but I was catch up on the box score and some of the highlights and whatnot. This was kind of the thing that they had done early in the season. They'd be down early, first 5 innings, and then in later innings they'd come back and snatch victory from defeat. It's kind of how they were living for a while. Uh, but now we've kind of seen them regress, maybe to where they might be for the rest of the year, potentially, give or take. Like we've said, the magic number has been 5 for this team on offense. They score 5 runs. They statistically have a great record, but it's always good for morale when you can come back. You give up, put yourself 3 runs down early through 3, come back, take a lead, and it's and then you put up 4 in the 10th, which I kind of was interesting to see in the box score before I even dove into any of the details. But 2 splits, nothing really entirely overwhelming either way. We split 2 with Pittsburgh earlier in the year at their place, so not too much difference there. Like you mentioned, Perez just continues to plug away, batting all over the lineup. I see Cano was back today. I think even though he's not tearing the cover off the ball, the guy just gets on base, and the rest of the guys kind of feed around that, and his presence is weirdly missed when he's on there. I know he sat the other day um, with a minor injury or ailment, if you will, but the regular cast and crew came through again. So we'll see. I mean, Baez 1 for 5, still batting 191, but like you said, runners in scoring position. So who knows? But yeah, I mean, they win a few, they lose a few. They're not really making any ground yet, but At least they're not getting. They kind of moved past from that home series sweep against Kansas City the other week. So
Yeah, that was a that was a low point in life.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, they were just able to jump. The a lefty reliever came in relief in the 10th inning, and they just jumped all over him. Of course, Ibanez, he just historically destroys left-handed pitching. So yeah, they were able to get all over him when it in that uh, in that final inning. But yeah, good ball game, fun to watch. They're gonna make things interesting. They're gonna be in most games. You feel like whether it's the starting pitcher that holds it down, or if the bullpen has to come in and keep things respectable. But solid victory. It was the two games we lost were very disheartening, but we were able to make it happen um, in the end. All right, let's get to the first break here. All right, let me see if I can pull this graphic up for the good, the bad, and the ugly. Let's see how this shakes out. Ah, uh, come on. I had this all planned out.
There we go.
Oh, okay.
Oh
All
man,
right. Here we go. All right. So, yes, this is kind of, we're going to kind of go through it a little bit. Obviously, the people listening,
oh, that hurts
um,
my heart.
yeah, the people listening can't hear this, but the last 14 days, Javi Baez hitting 121, OPS 299. Spencer Torkelson, 098 average, 268 OPS, 14 Ks. Wensil Perez, yes, our boy has gone on a little bit of a skid. He performed well today. Made it. Oh man, Chafin was getting destroyed. Well, he just walked a ton of dudes. He had like 12 balls and like two strikes, and just laboring. And it was two outs, and they hit a fly ball, and Wensil Perez basically caught a grand slam on the warning track.
Wow.
They were going to blow the
Oh,
game wide open.
can
So
we
he
trade that
actually,
one for ALCS years ago with Torrey Holt
right.
flipping over the wall? Can we swap that one out?
Right. Yeah. So yeah, just we're able to evade a just complete meltdown by just feet. But yes, and Chafin ultimately ends up with the win after not pitching great at all. But anyways, Wensil Perez going on a little bit of a skid, 163 average, 450 OPS, and then
That's good.
Riley Green hitting 227 with a 670 OPS, 15 Ks, a whole bunch of strikeouts right now. But I feel like he was making some good. He hit a home run in the first game of the series, and I feel like he was making some good contact. So he may be coming out. He may be coming out of his little slump. But yeah, he had a very rough May, and yeah, the last 14 days were not great for him. So that kind of covers the bad, ugly, however you want to slice it. But we do have some positive things to speak on. Matt Vierling, he has been just amazing on all fronts, playing wherever he needs to play, third base, center field, corner, outfield. He's hit a decent. He's hit quite a few home runs, and like you said, like off air, in bunches. He usually will hit it, even if they're just little liners that go 300 and 350 feet just over the wall. He finds the way to get. He's been finding a way to poke that ball out. Um, and on top of that, who else can we speak on? Well,
Oh,
Scooble.
the
Yeah,
trio starters, man.
yeah.
The
The
three-headed
Olsen.
monster, we'll call it.
Right. Olsen, Scooble, and Flaherty have continued to be consistent. Scooble got lit up pretty bad his not this last outing, but the one before that. So it was
Yeah.
good to see him bounce back after suffering his first loss. Um, but yeah, outside of that, Gio Urshela, he made a great diving catch today, playing first base, which is very important, and we're going to get into that in a little bit. But we do have a bit of depth at the first base position defensively, which is important. And Colt Keith hit another home run, I believe, yesterday. He was rolling over everything today, real bad, but. He's continuing to come around. I think he's hitting 240 now, which is a very good improvement from where he started the year. But this was some power, some power that we really needed. Boston is a team that definitely bats around a little bit. So we got some good, we got some pretty solid performances. Badu hit a home run over the Green Monster. Riley Green hit one over the Green Monster. Gio Urshela hit one over the Green Monster. So the power is coming around, and we're starting to see what the potential of what this team can be when we're clicking on all cylinders. But yeah, we only split. We only split against the Boston, but we'll take it. We knew that was going to be a tough series coming into it. Any other takeaways, Coach?
Not too much, Yep. Like we talked off air too. Colt's been barreling the ball up more. It's just it's a baseball thing at that point. Just finding the holes and where the fielders aren't and getting on base from there. Yeah, I mean it's crazy because even with the dip with Buencillo Perez, he's still batting a respective, I think, just north of 260 at 268. Meerling's almost creeping up to 300. He's at 294.
Yep.
So it's those guys along with Gio and Ibanez. Badu's got occasionally give him a nice little boost. Obviously, he can do a little more on the base path once he get on. He can wreak a little more havoc, be a little more of a distraction. But I look at guys like Javi and McKinstry, and it's just like, well, don't really know what to do with these guys. We're in this platoon situation that we've mentioned. I feel like I'm starting to beat that dead horse a bit, but look at the box score for today. Verling playing two positions, Green playing two different positions. Banez ended up pinch hitting. Purdue got pinch hit for by Jake Rogers and then replaced by McKinstry. It's just some, it's a lot. Flexibility is great, but I don't know. I wonder if there's going to be no definable positions here other than the obvious ones for the rest of the year, as it is right now. Hell, the other was just last week we had both Carson Kelly and Jake Rogers hitting in the same lineup, and we were just offline texting like, "Oh my gosh,
We had like 14 runs that day, though.
True, yeah.
I don't know how. Sunday,
we
I love the way I think that was a Sunday, but yeah, something about playing on Sunday for us is just, I don't know.
We looked at that lineup and we were like, barf, vomit. This looks like I don't know how this is going to work. And sure enough, they put up two touchdowns right across from Ford Field.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, there's not really too much else. Offense is below average. Injuries, I think they've not really had that many injuries, but they've been timely and they've been really in bad spots when we, just can't really afford it as is. But yeah, obviously we got some other news regarding some injuries and transactions a little bit later on, so I will tease that for now.
Well, you don't have to tease it for long, man. We definitely talked about the platooning and all that, but let's parlay right into the injuries, rosters, all that good stuff.
Yep. So it's a quick one, not too much happening. We all know with the rain out and doubleheader with Pittsburgh, Kiter Montero made his MLB debut, I think, and it didn't go that well. He got lit up a bit. It was an awkward situation because with Matt Manning, who was already up. And the way the rule works, they get an emergency call up within 24 hours to use for cancellation for a doubleheader to allow flexibility. It doesn't count against your 40-man roster or force a move to equal it transitionally to go down if he comes up. And Manny was already up, so they had to bring this kid up, and he got roughed around a little bit. Scooble dominated the other game, but hey, Paul Skeens did a hell of a job in that game, and
Yes, he did.
boy, it was impressive to see. Everything that he was hyped up to be in the draft and whatnot, he delivered there. I know it was against us; it wasn't against any league leader or anything, but still, I mean, I kind of was thinking, man, he looks almost like a little bit like Scooble, just from the right side instead of the left. So he's obviously going to be a star in the making coming up. But it looks like on the 28th, Shelby Miller was sent to Toledo for a rehab assignment. Wasn't any update on that, so I guess no news is good news for the meantime.
Did you see he was pitching the other day and took a throw from the catcher on a stolen base to second, took one off the back. I mean, he didn't hurt him, but it was
Yeah,
kind of a
no.
weird, awkward situation. It's just good to see. It's good to see that he's back, playing, because there was question of like the severity of the injury. So
That's good. And I think it was retroactive the 27th of May, but it was done on the 29th. Kerry Carpenter was placed on the 10-day IL with lower lumbar spine issue, which was then later defined as a lower lumbar stress fracture. We'll get into that a little bit more in detail a little bit later on. But based on some of the generic research I saw, 10 days is not nearly going to be enough time for that kind of recovery.
I think the 10 days was for the inflammation type deal. I think.
Yeah.
I think, once
eventually they'll end up upgrading it probably to whatever, 30, 60 days, what have you. But yeah, that type of injury could take anywhere. I mean, if it's light, it could be 6 weeks in the best case scenario. But from what I read, almost most cases, even with mostly just rest and whatnot, it could be anywhere between 3 and 6 months. So yeah, we obviously there's going to be a lot more to come on him and over the next several weeks. But essentially, right now, I would imagine that based on some of the initial research and findings for recovery, he will most likely be shut down for at least the next few weeks, with probably no egregious activity or physical activity, at least for the next 3 to 4 weeks at the minimum. So more to come on that when more is released on him.
Absolutely. Let's get into the next break here. All right, we're going to get into some news down on the farm. We have Eddie's Leonard and Kreidler are currently rehabbing in Lakeland right now. Kreidler's definitely still kind of struggling. It makes you wonder, if that hand is, he's still got some unsureness about that. But Eddie's Leonard's has been kind of up and down as well. He was hitting 313 earlier this week, but I think it's, in small sample size, obviously those at average kind of, can drop down after one bad, one rough outing. So still those guys are still working to get back to normal. Kevin McConaughey continues to just rake down there. Only a matter of time. I think I've kind of beaten a dead horse with that, but only a matter of time. I think he's hitting like 355. He had 2 RBIs today in a pinch hitting role. He wasn't even starting. And Max Clark has continued to be successful as well. It's going to be fun to watch those guys come up together because they were both drafted, I believe, a round apart this past, last year. So it'll be fun to watch them progress and move up the system together. You kind of see them kind of pick each other up. I think McConaughey bats behind Clark. So a lot of times he's batting Clark in, but Clark is definitely displaying the 5 tools that he possesses, and it's going to be real fun in the next couple years. Ty Madden continues to struggle at the AAA level. Um, and lastly, obviously Badu got moved up in the middle of the week, so he's with the club, and more than likely he will remain with the club. He was pretty much the guy that was brought up in place of Kerry Carpenter. But Justin Henry Malloy, the moment we've all been waiting for, he tore it up all last year, and there's been a lot of questions of whether or not he had any fit with the amount of corner outfielders that we do have, and with all the injuries that we've had take place, it was only a matter of time that we had to continue to, flex our corner outfield depth. And Justin Henry Malloy finally gets an opportunity to make his debut. He was a part of the trade last year with the Braves, and he's going to get an opportunity, at least for the foreseeable future. It's tough to say where he's going to be. I don't know if he's going to be playing a lot of DH, corner outfield. They tried him at third base because that was a big hole for us, but that hasn't really been where he's been at this year. So I think we're going to see him a whole bunch of different places, and people have even talked about him maybe playing, being tried out at being able to try out at first base a little bit. So we will see. Of course, the cynical Tiger fan is, whenever anybody tears it up in AAA or AA, it's can he play first? Because Torque, who just right before the show they announced he was officially sent down. It was just a matter of time. He's kind of bottom up. Still he continued to flash the glove, but it just got to a point to where he was struggling so bad that it was just like it was almost torture on him to continue to set him out there. He's obviously laboring and just overthinking things. So we'll definitely be keeping an eye on what he's able to accomplish while he's down there. He's struggling to hit the fastball, which he's not going to really be able to work on that at the AAA level because the velocity level just jumps up at the major league level. But, just a couple of days off and an opportunity to clear his head and to refocus things may do some wonders for him. But what were you we kind of talked about Torque. In your opinion, do you feel like this is a long-term move down for him? Do you see him getting moved? Where are you at with that?
I mean, a couple weeks ago he had some trade value. I don't think he's got any value now. Nothing. No, not a pick. Maybe cash considerations, but that's chump change compared to his $700,000+ salary. So it'll be a drop in the bucket to that. I mean, it's if he starts producing, and I don't mean in the next 2 weeks or 3 weeks. If he's producing the entire month of June and going into July, he's still doing well, I think there's a chance that you bring him back up. But I mean, if nothing else, I think this is it. And he, they might call him up for in September or whatever. But that I almost feel like that would almost be like a pity call up and. Maybe for him to showcase, but I mean, if he does well in Toledo, I'm thinking they're looking to move him for something, anything they can get back in return. I saw a crazy stat where he was batting like .06, .069, somewhere around there.
Okay.
With fastballs registering over 93 miles an hour in the last 2-3 weeks. That's terrible. That's not even terrible. That's abysmal.
And that's the basics. Like when you're able to hit the
fastball, only hit
fastball,
apparently.
Yeah, right? Yeah, I'm saying when you can hit the fastball, it speeds your bat up for everything else. If you can't even sit on just a batting practice fastball, there's no chance at anything else unless you're just guessing and you guess right every once in a while, which I feel like has kind of been the case for him on the few home runs that he's demolished. So
I mean, I hate to dog him too, but I mean, shit, Baez gonna hit the fastball for crying out loud. So, I mean, look, I know we're on this platform and everything. We love this team, but this is going down as it is unfolding in front of us. This is going down, in my opinion. I was talking to some other friends the other night about this. There seem to be some sports media personalities that have him rated as a second right now, as is. If nothing else stays or nothing else changes, everything stays status quo, he'd be the number 2 biggest bust overall in Detroit sports behind only Darko. I think it's worse than Darko.
what?
Darko had
How?
no
Wow? How?
listen. Darko didn't have any pressure really to produce. He was behind a team that was loaded and winning a championship.
That's true.
Torkelson was the number 1 overall generational quote unquote talent pick and was rated at one point, I think, the best hitter ever in college baseball. Ever.
He broke Barry Bonds' Arizona.
That's what I'm saying. The dude tore it up at NCAA,
yeah.
and anyone else who wouldn't pick him would have been called a fool.
Yes.
So
undisputed.
But let's take a look in our organizational history in the last 25 years. Stephen Moyer more recently was a higher 1 or 2 pick overall about 5, 6, 7 years ago roughly. He didn't last more than 4 years. He came up, big frame, 6'6", big dude, looked skinny, but he was big. Couldn't do anything in the major league level for about 2 years, and he moved on. And Torkelson, I feel like he had for those who remember, I feel like his second half or post All-Star break run was similar to like Chris Shelton. His one hot April that he had where he tied the AL record for home runs, RBIs, all that, and then was DFA'd by June 1st or whatever. Like, didn't even make it to the All-Star break on the team. Torkelson's a guy that they drafted to build around.
Yes.
And the guy can't hit 93, 95 mile an hour fastballs with a guy who can't hit sliders not further down the lineup behind him. I mean, maybe that's the case.
If runners are on, he can hit anything. If that's
maybe getting away from Baez might do him some good. But for all intents and purposes, he's on a 1-year prove-it deal. He's not even making $1 million this year. Torkelson, that is. And,
right. It's crazy.
And if he's not doing well, he ain't gonna get anything in trade. And I don't know if bringing him back up would be beneficial for him. And I know we just talked about it briefly too. Like now what happens with the other first baseman down there, Ryan Garosa, who had that option in his contract by June 1st. If he hadn't been called up, he can opt out of his contract with Detroit and Toledo entirely and basically become a free agent. So then potentially we'd be down 2 first basemen, our pretty much top 2 first basemen in the organization heading into next year.
Well, lucky for Keston Hiura, he couldn't have picked a worse time to be struggling with Torkelson struggling. He's currently hitting .232. He started out red hot and had a great spring, but doesn't really have too much of a leg to stand on at this point. So that may kind of work in our favor with him. I don't know if he can go somewhere else and convince them to bring him up. So, but yeah, outside of that, what's, next as far as in Toledo, Meadows continues to hit well. And interesting enough, Malloy he didn't start the game, but he did pinch hit today. So, he actually got in, for an at bat and walk. Nah, he just got out. But yeah, outside of that, Dylan Dingler, another guy, he's hitting 300. Rogers is playing less and less. He did pinch hit. Yeah, he pinch hit today. But Carson Kelly looks to be the 1A right now. He had a double today. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Keep an eye on and I don't know too much about him, but he's a shortstop, Andrew Navigato. He's been hitting pretty well as of late. He's hitting .272 with 6 home runs and 23 RBIs. He bats at the bottom of the lineup, but he's been jumping off the stat sheet as of late. So he's a shortstop, and I don't see him being any, a high, value prospect. He was drafted in the 20th round in 2019. So But we're keeping our eye on anybody, and we've utilized our AAA, which I love because I watch pay it so much attention to it. But we have utilized almost half this, more than
Dude,
half
half the
this.
organization.
Yeah,
I mean, look at all the guys that called up to Lakeland
man.
or not Lakeland, called up to Toledo between the end of last year for a couple months and all of this year. Dude, Lakeland, Erie guys, all these guys are getting promoted because all these guys were pulling up. So it's almost a mini trial by fire for some of these other youngsters down there who maybe aren't necessarily on the radar, like you said. But
Yep.
you know, let's call it it is. I mean, yeah, they're still in the wild card hunt right now. I'm not going to get that twisted, but some of these guys are playing for jobs already. We're in that mode right now. Division, it's not even in the horizon right now. There's a lot of stuff going on right now, and then we talked about it a couple days ago when the announcement was made. I think right around this time last weekend when Acuna tore his other ACL, that they might be in the market for an outfielder, and we have a gluttony of corner outfielders.
We're really kind of greedy with it at this point.
It is, yes, you're right. And
Yeah.
let's be real, we've always been very pro trade friendly with Atlanta organizationally. We've had a number of deals with them. Hanks, we let Omar Infante go to Atlanta. Got to meet him when he was down there as a Brave. Got a picture with him. It almost seems like it's almost inevitable that something is going to happen between us and Atlanta. Obviously, they can go somewhere else and look for a replacement in that regard, or at least a temporary fill-in. But I feel like some moves are going to be made, and frankly, I'm going to put this out there too. I know we talked about it briefly, I think on the last show. What the hell are positional coaches doing at the major league level? Like, what's something
what's your gripe though?
What's not working? These guys continue to struggle. Yeah, they'll get a few hits in a series, and their average will go up 15 points. But then, over the next two games, they go 1 for 9 or whatever, and they're back to 210 or 220, there's no consistency. Yes, different guys each game are stepping up, which is great. But you guys that played absolute booty cheek for 2 games out of a 3-game series, they pop off once, and then you don't hear from them again until 3 days later. And defensively too, Colt Keith, another throwing error. We are running out of second baseman who cannot throw the ball to first base because we got a converted guy in the outfield and Perez.
When was that?
Can't throw.
That was today.
Today, yeah, he had a throwing error today. Another one.
I missed it.
I don't. It's frustrating because it's the same type of mistakes it looks like that keep happening, and at some point in time too. Yeah, I mean these players are going up and down like a damn accordion right now, or an elevator. I think in my opinion, I think AJ is coaching for potentially his job and beyond, because
most of the
go ahead.
Manning's been up and down, but
yeah,
I think Meadows
literally
and Torque,
figuratively.
I think Meadows and Torque are the only guys that have been sent down. I mean, of course, but Badu's been up and down, but I think the only 2 demotions really have been as far as guys that started on the opening day roster. I think is just Torque and Meadows.
Yeah, but I mean, not everyone on the team can be sent down without being
true.
DFA'd,
There's only so many that even.
I mean, obviously, otherwise, I'd be like, well, Carson and Jake Rogers look all the same. I'd be like, well, I'd cut Jake and keep Carson because he's been providing a little more at the bat, and we've seen Jake make some unusual decisions with the ball in the field. Like,
it's like, Jake, okay. what did you smoke before the game? No.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that mustache is hiding something, Jake. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, if there was no risk of losing players, and if they were under contract, then yeah, I mean, you probably would see a couple more guys be going down already.
Absolutely.
Colt and Jake being 2 of them, and who knows who else? Excuse me. But eventually, some of these coaches got to be held responsible too. Most of these guys are young to a degree that we've been moving up and down. Um, and AJ's supposed to be this, player coach who can get the most out of his guys and knows how to, kind of in a way like Jim Nealon used to. I treat everyone the same, but I treat everyone differently. Was his famous little quote when he got hired. Um, I don't. I mean, I'm not seeing that with AJ and his staff. These guys are continuously struggling with the bat, with the glove, making throws. While we see some nice plays from Baez and Gio occasionally, I'm just not seeing enough out of these guys improvement wise to say, yeah, no, these coaches should be safe. I mean, right now, my eyes, all bets are off. Guys are playing for their jobs. AJ's coaching for his position next year, which probably is not a very popular stance for sure. Yeah, which I get, but I don't know. I don't know what this team doesn't have an identity right now. They just don't. There's too many moving pieces, and I feel like they're kind of just shaking up the magic 8 ball and throwing something out there and seeing if it works. It's kind of what I'm feeling like this team is kind of going through. And it's not the players' fault to a degree, but still they got to produce.
Absolutely. We're going to get to this last break, and we're going to wrap things up with the upcoming schedule. That was the wrong intermission, but it's all good. So what do we have on tap for the upcoming schedule?
Well, they're leaving Boston, probably already gone by now. They'll be arriving in Texas for a 3-game set, down in that Texas heat for 3 games, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It'll be Scoobel, Flaherty, and Maeda. Oh, boy. Then they finally get an off day Thursday. That'll finish their 9 games in 9 days. Before they have a weekend home series for 3 against our Midwest friends from Milwaukee. That'll be Olson, Mize, and then Scoobel. Before another day off. Man, they're going to get 2 in 5 days before they continue their homestand with 3 against Washington, with only the first 2 slated as Flaherty and Maeda. But if we were keeping everything as status quo, Olson would most likely be the 3rd starter for that Thursday series.
All righty. So it just seems like we don't really get a break. I feel like I think they said that we have had the 24th toughest schedule thus far, and the rest of the way we have the 5th toughest schedule. So it's not going to get any easier for us.
You're right.
But
we look at the rest of the month real quick after Washington. You got 3 games in Houston, who are cooking. They're bouncing way back after their horrible start, and then they continue that to go 3 right into Atlanta before they finally get to see another divisional opponent in Chicago, and then they turn around and they welcome the Phillies, who are, I think, 2nd in the National League. Wow. So you got the 3rd or 4th best team in Atlanta, 2nd best team in Philly. I think the Dodgers are 1st.
Did you mention the Nationals?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's who they play after the 2nd home series after the end of this coming weekend.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah.
And then they end the month of June with a 4-game set out in LA with the Angels.
All right, sounds good. I definitely want to catch what's his name, CJ Abrams, or the young dude out of the shortstop for the Nationals. I gotta pop up and check one of those games out. But yeah, so we got definitely, with all the moving pieces and things going on, we got plenty to look forward to coming up. Obviously, Justin Henry Malloy is going to make his debut real soon. And yeah, we just got to see that. I think Mark Canha was borderline injured and trying to avoid hitting the IL.
He played today. He
played today.
Which is good.
I just wonder whether or not how they're going to handle that moving forward. He did have a solid game today and was, a part of the comeback. But we that's just another, flexible corner outfield slash, first baseman type guy. Um, starting to get thin. Kerry Carpenter was Kerry Bonds. That was our most consistent and best hitter throughout. Everybody else kind of going through their little skid and stuff like that. And it just seems like we're never all clicking at the same time. When we have a Veerling going off, we have a guy. We had other guys that a Wenzel Perez that kind of start struggling. Um, so yeah, more interesting topics and things going on that we're going to take a look at moving forward. But any closing remarks before we get up out of here, Coach?
Oh, not much. This team leaves me wanting more, and I think that's probably a more common sentiment among Tiger fans right now. Um, yeah, they're always interesting, but interesting doesn't necessarily win you majority of the games, if you will. Um, and for those that are on YouTube watching, drop in the comments. If they're in the wild card hunt within, let's say, 2-3 weeks of deadline, are they buyers? Are they sellers? They look. We've seen some quotes from Illich about payroll and spending. They're not going to spend unless they absolutely feel like they're ready for a run. But I mean, at this point too, your number one overall pick, who you had your cornerstone to build around, is flopping himself or whiffing himself right out of the parent club as of tonight. So I don't know. I right now I've got kind of a giant question mark. We'll see what happens over the next few weeks. We got some guys that are needing to get some additional medical information on some of their injuries, like you said. Carpenter, I think, is a big piece. If he's got to be out for a couple months, I I don't know. I mean, that would be a big blow because you lose him kind of long term, and obviously, you lost a pitcher in the spring training before he even could, break spring training with the club, and Gibson Sawyer Long. So, um, you know, the three-headed monster can only continue to click as long as they possibly can, and we'll see. It's just it's frustrating. Absolutely. I think that's a common feeling most of us have, but we'll see. I'm just hoping for anything at this point, honestly.
Absolutely. And like the great Sparky Anderson said, he said, I don't even know my team until July 4th. So, we still got a little bit. We got about a month until we're at that point. And I think we will have fully exercised every option from the main roster to nearly everybody at the AAA level. So we'll be ready to evaluate and make some moves at this point. I got slight faith that we got another run in us, and the talent is there. I'm not quitting yet on Parker Meadows, and Torque's obviously going to have to go through his little changes, but he's young. This is his first time. I think you said that he was sent down at least once, but this is an experience. This is an experience for him, and everybody's getting an opportunity to display their talents, and you just got to look at it as an opportunity for other teams to see what our young trade bait candidates can produce at the major league level. So as always, we're going to keep an eye on things and keep everybody abreast of any roster updates moving forward. And please subscribe to Bleachers and Speakers on YouTube for all visuals, and Corner to Copa on all streaming platforms for all the audio. And again, I'll get up out of here. We'll talk to you guys soon.